Evening, everybody. First on the agenda, we need to swear in our board member. So you guys, if you want to stand, Bill, and raise your right hand. Did you do that?
All right, so Bill, repeat after me. I, Philip Quan,
I, Philip Quan,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of school director in and for the St. Genevieve R2 County School District. Yes. As soon as I did it, I'm like, oh, that was wrong. Okay, let's back up. So you are going to discharge the duties of school director
discharge the duties of school director
in and for
in and for
the St. Genevieve County
the St. Genevieve County
R2 School District,
R2 School District,
County of St. Genevieve,
County of St. Genevieve,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to the law.
according to the law.
All right.
Thank you.
Sir.
First on the agenda, we need a motion to approve the agenda. So moved. Motion. Second. And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, the MSBA monthly report.
Welcome to the February edition of the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report. In his 2026 State of the State to the Missouri General Assembly, Governor Kehoe proposed phasing out and eliminating Missouri's individual income tax. Separate from this income tax push, there is also Senate Bill 3, which requires many counties to place a question on the April 2026 municipal ballot asking whether to implement a property tax cap by county for taxing jurisdictions. For school districts, property taxes are a major piece of local funding. MSBA Senior Director of Advocacy Caitlin Whaley and MSBA Senior Director of School Finance Linda Quinley hosted a webinar recently to discuss the issues surrounding Senate Bill 3.
The idea is to offer homeowners relief from property tax bills on their primary residence. So each county would be asked to vote on if they want to implement this cap. So it isn't just a cap that's implemented by the legislature, it's a county vote. And so that brings us to when is it going to be voted on, which is in April in theory. And I will get to
we'll talk more about
I will
that.
get to the in theory part in a second, but in theory it has to be voted on in the April election, which is this coming April of 2026, and then an implementation date in the fall of 2026.
So basically, the question is going to be, shall we allow this property tax credit, which means you'll get the full normal bill, and then you'll get a credit against that bill that will reduce the amount of money that goes to school, reduce the amount of money you pay. So it will serve as a credit versus an overall reduction of the rate that people pay.
Linda Quinley says that the proposed changes to property taxes would have long-term financial implications.
So we have to always remind our taxpayers and our property owners in our community how important that local revenue is to us. So think about trying to keep up with Senate Bill 727 and the new minimum wage bill on compensation to keep up with the rising cost of doing business with less new revenue each year. And that's really kind of my mantra on all of these tax capping bills. And then long term, it's going to really make it difficult to keep that fund balance where it needs to be without you every year having to pinch pennies and make some changes. So potentially this has really long-term future implications that'll be hard on us.
Setting aside the financial implications, the administrative side of this and asking districts to manage their day-to-day, their year-to-year financial health is going to be that much more challenging because it's going to be less money and it's going to be more unpredictable.
Absolutely.
And that's on top of all the other layers of, financial unpredictability, I think, that we're seeing districts forced to navigate at present.
Yeah, we're in the most unpredictable, unreliable revenue time that we've ever been in with mandated rising costs.
For more information about Senate Bill 3, the financial implications of it, and how school districts can communicate these complicated concepts with their communities, visit the MSBA website and watch Caitlin and Linda's full webinar, Senate Bill 3 and Beyond. Along with the webinar, you can also download ballot initiative guidelines and the property tax handouts from the webinar. As the legislative session progresses, we will keep you updated on all of the developments that matter to you again this year through our Legislative Voice newsletter sent to members via email each Friday during the session, through critical issue alerts and MSBA's Spring Advocacy Series. The Spring Advocacy Series helps you connect the classroom to the Capitol and make an impact in shaping education policy. Log on to Advocacy Lunch and Learns for the latest updates in the legislative session and plan to attend MSBA's Advocacy Day and Student Showcase with your school board to meet your legislators at the Capitol on March 10th. For more information about all of these events, visit the MSBA website. A new episode of MSBA's podcast, Always Bored, Never Boring, is out now as well. MSBA President Shelley Mantell joined Caitlin Whaley and MSBA Executive Director Melissa Randall for a candid discussion on the realities of local school board service.
You have to understand, in the big scheme of things, that the responsibility is great. I mean, there are 7 of us and your administrative team that are setting the future for literally 900,000 students in the state of Missouri. Think about that for a minute. Think about the responsibility that a bunch of volunteers have taken on in order to move our communities forward.
The most important school safety gathering ever held in Missouri is coming soon. Join us April 22nd through the 24th for the Missouri School Safety Conference in St. Louis. This statewide conference is hosted by MSBA Center for Education Safety. This event is built specifically for those at the forefront of school safety. Priority pricing has been extended for the entire registration period, so don't miss out on this important event. And finally, MSBA is also pleased to sponsor School Board Recognition Month in March. It's a great opportunity for school districts and communities to recognize the outstanding work of school board members and the important role local boards of education play as leaders of our public schools. Visit the MSBA website for ideas to celebrate and materials created to help recognize the vital role these public officials play in the education of Missouri's children. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and we'll see you in March for the next MSBA Board Report.
Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have public participation. Board members, administrators will listen to concerns and will respond when appropriate by mail or telephone at a later date. So that report is superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome back. Welcome, Mr. Kwan.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your service. First on my report are the notes of appreciation. I think there are a couple notes in your packet for you to review. And then just a review of an annual school board election. We don't have to have an election Tuesday, April 7th. Mr. Bosler, Mr. Kirchner, and Mrs. Riesinger were all congratulated last month. And we just wanted to leave that on there as a reminder because the election is so far away. And then, of course, we want to welcome our new board member, Mr. Kwan. Next on my report is kindergarten registration. Oh, maybe next on my report is School Board Recognition Month is March. We won't meet again until the 3rd week of March, so we wanted to get that information out there. And as soon as Mr. Kwan lets Bailey take a picture of it, we'll get his picture up here as well. I think administrators will plan some nice gifts for you next month, like we always do. Yeah.
Those handwritten letters
Kindergarten registration, Saturday, March 14th for St. Genevieve Elementary, and Saturday, March 21st for Bloomsdale Elementary. And you can call, phone lines are open, please call as soon as you can. Get that set up so that we can get close to an accurate number for incoming kindergarten classes. I know Mr. Kingery would be interested in taking as many phone calls as he can. next on my report is enrollment. I like to do a review of enrollment from the first day of school, which is not actually a count date, but we do get a count, and then a September count date and a January count date. So we've got 3 years of data up here, and you can see for pre-K, obviously this year our numbers are higher with the opening of the Early Childhood Center. It's really nice to see that number up to 121. Dr. Ketting, can you talk just a moment about why that number fluctuates so much from the first day of school to where we are in January?
The majority of that is placement of students in the early childhood special education programs. It takes a little bit of time for them to be referred, be evaluated, qualify for services. So that's where that first day to January, that main jump is. We have actually had several just pre-K kiddos start throughout the year too, as they either moved to the area or they've been at home and they're interested in childcare before the year they go to kindergarten. We had a new one start today. So our 4-year-old rooms are now completely full. I used to say if somebody called we could squeeze them in, but we can't anymore. So that's good as of today. And then we could have a few more 3-year-olds, but the majority of those numbers growing is because of the early childhood special education students. We start the year with like 20, 25 IEPs, and by the end of the year, we're over 50. So that's the vast majority of that number.
Thank you for that.
And Dr. Ketting, can you refresh my memory? How many children down the line would this building hold?
Well, we have 3 rooms empty, so it depends on how we utilize them. If they're traditional pre-K classrooms, we would have anywhere from 15 to 20 kids, depending on if they're 3s or 4s. If they would become early childhood special education classrooms, then we typically don't have more than 10 children because they're getting that small group specialized instruction. So realistically, with 3 empty rooms, we would have 60 more kids, but some of those rooms would have to be probably utilized for services. So.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
For K-12 enrollment, we were really excited in 23-24 when our number rose back above 1,800. Last year, 1,850 the first day of school, 1,847 count date in January. And then this year down just a hair, 1,837 and 1,822. So still solidly above that 1,800 number, which makes us happy. Next up on superintendent report are principal's reports.
Hi, good evening. Seems like we haven't been together in a while. We were here in January, but we didn't have a report, so lots to catch up on since we were together in December. We finished out the year and rolled into January with our Christmas celebrations, and State Representative Ryan Wolfen came for a visit. It was really fun getting to see him interact with the kiddos. They kept him busy on the playground, and then he went in. I think he was in Miss Rose's room, and she was doing a partner share kind of reading where they were just touching words. They weren't quite reading yet, but the little girl that he's with, we had an odd number that day, so he had to jump in and do partner share so that she had a partner. And I think he really enjoyed his visit, had lots of questions for us, and it was really nice having him here and getting to kind of showcase what all we've accomplished here. And then obviously the snow is kind of what kept us busy in January, but it didn't slow our kids down, and so many of our parents sent. I thought about putting a video in here because there were just a lot of really fun ones too. It's really neat to see the kids in their home environment, and the parents sent so many videos and pictures and showing us different things they were doing at home. So that was kind of, even though we couldn't be with them, it was fun to see what they were continuing their learning at home with their parents and siblings and things like that. So we just put some fun videos in there, or some fun pictures in there of what our kiddos spent the month of January doing when they weren't with us. And then in February we started, St. John County Health nurse Danny reached out to us about a variety of child programs that she could offer. So she came last week and talked about winter safety with the kids and how when you are outside and it's cold, what proper clothing to wear, the importance of still wearing sunscreen on sunny days, all of that fun stuff. And then she'll be coming back. Our nurse, Lindsay, coordinated with her to come back once a month for a variety of things. So we have sun safety coming up at the end of the year. We have parking lot safety, and we're going to collaborate with the police department department on that and our Parents as Teachers program. We now, within the county, I believe we have 7 people who can do car seat checks. So we're all gonna work together and offer car seat checks to all of the parents here at the center, and any of our PAT families or anybody really in the community can call and ask for one. So we had two parent educators that went and got certified to be car seat tech safety in January. So the nurse Amy's gonna come back and help with that. And then I believe she has, sun safety, car seat safety, and parking lot safety coming up. So that's been fun to have somebody else come in and kind of talk to the kids about those things. And then finally, we wrapped up last week with Valentine's Day with all sorts of fun kindness activities and sharing our Valentines and having little parties and things together. Our Bragging Dragons, Bindi Adams, Daphne Ainslow, Jet Bales, Eleanor Barr, Colby Beauchamp, John Boyd, Theo Cole had 2, Joseph Cooper, Brody Herzog, Henry Lane, Wesley LeClaire, Lena Meeks with 2, Amani Molick, Shadow Odom, Stella Puckett, Ainsley Reed, Colt Ritter with 2, Finley Rock, Isabel Scoggin, Payson Smith, Hattie Stacken with 2, Lane Stoll, Billy Todd, Delaney Thompson, Sutton Weaver with 2, and Grace White. And then in the month of January, our faculty staff of the month was Nurse Lindsay. Some things that were said is that she's always smiling and willing to help. She takes great care of our students, and she started the program with County Health for the health and nutrition programs that the kiddos are really enjoying. So she was our January faculty and staff of the month. We will have February for you later. Since we haven't been here a lot, we extended the voting for that because we didn't feel like we were ready to start another one for February yet. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. So I wanted to capture a few of our Valentine's Day boxes on the front page there. I know when I went to school, they were just like little boxes. You made some construction paper hearts and you moved on. But like, if you look at like the fish and I mean, they're just extraordinary. And these kids put a lot of time and effort into them. And then Dr. Seltzer with her little mini me there. That was so we celebrated Valentine's. We also celebrated the 100th and 101st day of school. In the elementary, it's a really big deal to do 100 of everything, whether you're making necklaces and counting by tens, or stacking cups, or dressing like elderly 100-year-old people and taking pictures. The students even use some like photo generators, and they transpose their faces to see what they look like when they were 100. And then on the 101st day of school, Dr. Seltzer and myself and the 2 secretaries, we decided to just dress like Cruella de Vil and the Dalmatians. And little did we know, unless you were above 2nd grade, they really had no idea who we were. They just thought we were a little scary, so it was good fun. We also celebrated our 2 wonderful counselors at the beginning of the month for School Counselor Week. Audra Kingery is our K-2 counselor, and Megan Williams is our 3-5 counselor. They were showered with gifts, posters, just different things. I think they were also provided a luncheon. Dr. Drury provided a luncheon for them. On the right, Dr. Hildred's class did an Olympic kickoff. They carried the torch through the building along with the American flag. We have Jaden Pfeiffer there carrying the flag proudly, and it looks like Lee Kreitler has the torch behind her. And they have a medal count down outside Dr. Hildred's room, and they're keeping track of the U.S. gold, silver, and bronze medals. And she sent out a video. I don't know if it went to all the buildings or if it just went to our building, but 2 of her students, Miles and Bradley, are giving weekly updates on the medal count. And it's pretty intriguing, and Miles will even tell you how the medals are made, so it's pretty intriguing. We had Miss Koenig had her first ever robotics competition that she held at St. John. And some of these pictures right here featured our students, and I believe they came away with quite a few awards. The team called the Technobots earned 3rd place in matches out of 21 teams. That was Owen Ram, Aiden Weiner, Bryce Schumer, and Oliver Kirsting. And then the Mechanical Masters earned 9th place in the coveted Innovative Award, and that was Carter Oakes, Jameson Watt, Relia Woods, and Brooke Greiser. And then the Robo Rock Stars, they are a 1st-year team, and they earned 13th out of all the teams, and they were competing against elementary and middle school students. That was Willa Hogan Miller, Nevaeh Schlueter, Jude Rotler, and Mason Hilbert. And I think they had a wonderful turnout and a good showing. So. All right, Danny Bates, nurse Danny from St. Genevieve County Health Department also came to visit our building. She focused on 3rd and 4th grade in our building, and she brought in kind of like watch step counters and is talking to the students about keeping active during the winter months when you tend to have inside recess and you're not moving, and like they are tracking their steps daily, they're setting goals, they're monitoring their fitness, and she's got a little competition going with them. And every now and then when you walk into the classroom, they'll be like, Dr. Gag, what's your step count? And then they'll show me mine and show you yours. So they are still moving with that. So we too also had Bryant Wolfen visit us back in December. I was first introduced to him at the joint MAESP conference with the Jefferson regional area. We had a joint conference and he kind of talked to us. And then after the meeting, he had kind of hung around and set up an appointment to come walk through our building. And he walked through our building and he was really fascinated with all of the supports and the student needs that we have and some of the daily encounters that our students have to go through. And so he's been working with our MASD group. I think it's House Bill 1767, the Parents' Right Bill, but it also has the educators' rights attached to it. So he's been sending that back and forth to our group for some feedback about what we would like to see in the bill and different things to support educators as well as parents and students. So it was really good. I think he had, the email that he sent back to us was he had no idea the struggles that teachers go through daily, and it was really eye-opening for him to see. So good visit. And then we have quite a few positive office referrals because as Dr. Penning said, we didn't do a presentation in January. So starting top row, left to right, Abram Herman, Adeline Schmelzley, Callie Kennedy, Alex Parmley, Amber Akins, August Apps, Blaine Miller, Cameron Stribling, Austin McKinney, Brantley Retzmacher, Broxton Kreitler, Connor Kennard 2, Easton Grind 2, Emery Nicholson, Elijah Kingery, Flo Shaw, Adeline Lark. And then continue, top left to right, Mason Hilbert, Melody Whaley, Nora Donovan, Owen Ballard, Orion Strickfaden, Paxton Hokad 2, Ruth Raymer, Sadie Wolk, Vincent Howell, Zach Belker, Liam Edwards, Max Jokers, Madison Mooney, Jeremy Heil received 2, Jason Moore, Kendall Scoggin, and Laney Barbie. And then finally, our January featured teacher and super staff. We just had our February faculty meeting today, so we'll get those to you next month. But our January featured teacher was Ms. Megan Williams. Just some of the words that were said about Megan. Megan is someone who the kids love to see. She is one of their safe spaces. Many students look forward to seeing her and feel so much better after they see her. She goes above and beyond to help kids, and I don't know what my kids would do without her. And then our super staff was Maddie Brewster. Maddie goes above and beyond to support students and staff with patience, compassion, and dedication. Every time I see her, she is on the go and working one-on-one with the child. She is always a step ahead of being prepared for class and ready to go with anything. She builds strong relationships and provides her students with steady encouragement. And those are our 2 nominations for this month. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you. Good evening. Catch you up on what's going on at BLE. So on the left side, Mrs. Elders came from the middle school band to come visit our 5th graders and promote band, and she is exceptional at promoting music to kids. She gets them so pumped up. And this day, it was one of my favorite days so far of the year because when you hit 5th grade, you kind of start getting too cool for school, and you some of that wonder starts to disappear, or they try to make it, but then something like this happens and you get to see that child wonder come out again. And I actually brought a little sound bite for you here so you can be in the room with them. It was great though, like, you could hear That's true. Yeah, so fun just to hear the laughter though, and like kids making those sounds you were hearing. All music teacher on you for a minute here. It's not natural. Like it's not easy. So for them to be able to do that was a big deal for them. It was really cool. On the bottom there, I threw in a little picture for your pleasure of a couple students practicing. They called it yogurt in Miss Ram's room. She called me down there to come check out their poses. So just funny to see them in action there. We had on the top right and then in the center there, Jump Rope for Heart representative came to the school and talked with the kids about Jump Rope for Heart. One of the big focuses for them is hands-only CPR, and I didn't really know all of the things that go into Jump Rope for Heart here. It's just a really important special program, and they get the kids super pumped about it in their learning at the same time and maybe making a difference. And then just a quick snapshot there on the bottom right of our climbing wall. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about this, but I got to spend some time in PE that day and saw this kid go into town on it. It was great. So just talking about some new skills and shared kindness here. Coach Bosler and I had a little competition out of Bloomsdale that he won, and he chose that he would like to be the principal for a day. So we kind of swapped spots for a little bit there. He busted out the finest suit he could find, much to our dismay, of course. So that's how I got to spend some time in PE and see them using the climbing wall there. On the bottom left is we have the kindness walls continuing there. It's across from our third grade bathrooms, but it's just a place where kids and teachers can leave notes for each other, put sticky notes up there, and there's just some really nice stuff to read. It's cool to see what's on the kids' minds and hearts. On the right side, those three pictures are from our second grade concert that we just hosted at the PAC. Mr. Friedmeier worked with them to do the bucket drumming, a lot of popular songs, so the kids get really pumped about it. The performance was awesome. They did a great job. I had a lot of fun with it. We had our two big PTO events last Saturday or the Saturday prior. We had the daddy-daughter dance, so a couple of shots there. Left center, that picture, it's hard to see it, but that's all of the dads and their girls there. So I think we had 70 students registered, plus the man that they brought with them, so it was a great turnout. And then for the mother-son dodgeball, we had 60 young fellows registered for that, so all of their parents. And I had to snap a picture of the moms you'll see on the right here. They were certainly the best dressed. They've got the tie-dye shirts with the pictures of their boys on them there. Came decked out for battle. It was a great event though, super successful. Positive office referrals for the past month here. We had Aramis Walden, Jewel Teff, Max Paquette and Owen Paisley, Lainey Pelfrey, and Grant Stewart. And then our teacher and staff of the month. Last month was Dana Palmer, second grade teacher. Her colleague said Dana is such an important part of our team. She's a strong, skilled teacher and always gives her students her best. She's a fantastic team player. And then staff of the month was Lauren Fowler. Her nominee said Lauren sets high expectations for the kiddos in her care and enforces them with consistency and love. Her students also clearly shared this love for her and smile ear to ear when she walks into a room. When I was trying to get her picture, the fewest amount of students I could get to hover around her was one, so he had to be in the picture with her because they love her so much. And then this month's teacher of the month and staff of the month, Heidi Heberly, special education teacher. She walked in the building and noticed that there was no one to cover the cafeteria morning duty, and she jumped right in and told Mrs. Harmon that she would do it. She's been a team player since day one in our building, and this is her first year at BLE, and she's settled in really, really nicely and an excellent team player. And then Michelle Bader, our day custodian, works so hard to keep our building safe and clean. Anytime we need something for our classrooms, she takes care of it and then some. Her extra efforts are noticed and so appreciated. And those are our teachers and staff for the month.
Good evening, friends. Good evening. Nice to see you all again, and I thank you, as I always do, for the opportunity to brag about all the wonderful things that are going on in St. Genevieve Middle School. We, like the other buildings, have survived some pretty busy weeks this winter, and I just want to take a few minutes to get you guys caught up on what we've been up to. Wrestling and basketball are both over by now, and I want to congratulate those coaches and athletes for some really successful seasons. It's nice to see those students learn and improve and figure out a little bit about teamwork and a little bit about life, and isn't that really what we're all about? That's what we're trying to do with these guys, so it's nice to see that. Tonight, though, on the first slide, I wanted to share with you some accomplishments from some students that don't always get that same spotlight. And Mrs. Gegg did a wonderful job of talking about the robotics competition, and I included some slides there from some of our middle schoolers and their accomplishments, both in overall placement and in some of those special awards too. Those are on the left. And on the right-hand side, we have some of our students who competed in our school spelling bee. And when they advanced onto North County for the conference spelling bee, Carly, the young lady in the green shirt there, placed second overall in the conference spelling bee. So she'll be representing us at the regional level in Papa Bluff next month. So if you see Carly around, congratulate her, wish her luck. I know she's really looking forward to that, was very excited about her win, and we were excited for her too. On the next slide, I want to take just a second to do something that I don't do very often, and probably should do a little more of, and that's just that I want to give you a little instructional update on what's going on in middle school this year. You know, we've been talking for several years now about competency-based education, and I just want to give you an update on where we are. We spent so much time thinking about the philosophy, pedagogy, the research, that the more we talked, the more excited we could see people become, until we started the school year this year, and they said, dude, you gotta let us go. We're ready, we're ready. And I was excited about that too. But we also wanted to provide a framework of support for people that maybe were not as confident. So Dr. Huffman and I narrowed down on the left-hand side there to 6 demonstratives. These are things that any teacher, any grade level, any subject should be able to plug and play in their classroom to help them get started on their CBE journey. And those are listed there for you. I'll not belabor the issue by reading those to you. But then we thought it was just as important, not only to identify those things, but to talk about how we can support the implementation of those things with our teachers. And we've been able to do so over the last few years and ongoing with professional development, site visits, professional reading, collaboration, and one of the things that I'm most proud of is the starter guides that we created for each of those 6 demonstratives. In our shared folder at school, teachers have access to a starter guide for each one of those that includes a definition, a little bit of research, some things they can try, different articles that we've employed over the course of the last couple of years, some of those that hit the bulletin, some that I've shared with teachers, all in one easy to find, condensed document. So as this year I've asked them to do 2, next year I'm going to ask them to pick up 2 more that they want to try. If it's something they're not familiar with, they haven't seen, they can pick up the starter guide and run with it. If we have a new hire come in that didn't get to spend the last 2 or 3 years with us as we built towards this journey, they can pick up the starter guide and run with it. So I just wanted to take a second. I know I don't get to do that very often, and I appreciate you indulging me, but I felt like it was important to keep you guys updated of where we are on that journey towards competency-based education. Dragons on Fire for this month: River Reese, Keaton James, Waylon Naggard, Bella Mazzoli, Olivia Cole, Ethan Rednauer, Addison Hughes, Eliana Moore, and Isabel Volk. And our Spotlight Award this month goes to Mallory in the office. She received several nominations, and I left the words up there for you. Feel free to take your time with that, but I want to talk about Mallory from a principal's perspective. One of the most valuable things that Mallory brings to the table is her frugality with district funds. She is such a smart and careful shopper, and so has gotten so good at the coding of things. You know, there are a lot of rules about how we have to code things, and they have to be done in just a very specific way. And I can tell you that Mallory has come a long way over the last few years since she started in that position. It used to be that she and I would sit down every month, and I'd go over the coding with her and explain it to her. And then after a year or 2, she'd come to me and say, hey, I'm going to code this way, this way. These days, it's here, sign this. Because she's figured out the system. And I know that I can trust her to do it correctly. And to also go the extra mile in working with our vendors and saying, hey, is this really the best deal we can get for this? For going online and re-shopping for things if some time has passed since a request came in, so that she can make sure she's getting the best price for the district and being a good steward of the district's money. And I can't tell you just how important that is to me, because then I know when I'm submitting budget requests to Paul recognizes how careful we've been with our money, and it makes it a lot easier for him to say yes to us. And I appreciate that so much. So congratulations to Mallory on earning that Spotlight Award this month. As I take my seat and hand things over to high school, I do have some dates for you here, some things that are coming up over the next month. Biggest on my plate is the Wellness Expo. Fortunately, I have a fabulous team that's already helping me get that together. We can see the skeleton, the skeleton of this thing, and you know what? We're putting some muscles on it. We're putting some skin on it. It's coming together, and we're going to have a great expo thanks to the work of that committee. I do want to point out on February 26th, that Mineral Area Band Festival, that might change. We might change that to an in-house event. I think Lindsay's been talking to me about the scheduling conflict that might occur on that, so that one you probably just need to put in pencil for now. We may change that to bringing in a clinician here. We're going through the possibles and the logistics of that. There are some dates for you. Thank you all very much for your attention. I appreciate it.
Good evening, guys. I'm not going to talk very long. I'm going to turn it over, and she doesn't really even need an introduction because I feel like she's here every month. Bree's kind of turning into our Anna Fisher and Anna Bennett, but she is here to present for the high school. I do want to point out, I don't know, are you going to talk about Fulton coming? I do want to point out we had a group of students come from Fulton High School last week and had a chance to meet with our principal's advisory group, and it was really, really neat to see our kids just take on a shared collaborative effort. And so we shared a Google Doc back and forth between our school and their school, and they created the agenda. We got a feel for exactly what they wanted to see when they came, what questions they wanted answered. And the neatest thing, and I got to share this with the kids, the neatest thing of the entire piece for me as the leader is I got a chance to just step back. But getting that text back from that principal who said, I really appreciate this because they were just starting their group, and it was an opportunity for them to see what an established group looks like, and she feels like that's going to push her kids to have a stronger voice and stronger leadership within their school, and that's something for me that these guys were able to display and showcase St. Genevieve High School, but also display the leadership that they have within our school. So, all right, now it's time for Bree.
Good evening. Good evening. Okay, we'll start with our positive office referrals. Chloe Gross, Keely Fowler, Elizabeth Solser, Rory Hughes, Lucas Horrell, Chase Dobbs, Cody Gross, Kylie Rugel, Roxana Hudson, and then Camden Struck. And then our Rotary Student of the Month for January was Lucille Hunsley, and then our Elk Student of the Month for January was Lucille Hunsley, and then our Rotary Student of the Month for January was Marlena, and then our Elk Student of the Month for February was Vivian Kiefer, and Rotary Student of the Month for February was Kylan Hager. Okay, in the past months, we've had building improvements. Anna Fisher is working on the wall by the cafeteria she designed a graphic just to make it more welcoming. And then Miss Stoll, me, and then another one of my classmates, Kyra, went to the state capitol for Root Ed, and we just advocated for the program to tell them why they should continue funding us. And then we had our annual roller chair basketball assembly, and the teachers loved that. And then our agriculture class is working on welding projects, and as Dr. Boyd talked about, Fulton came and visited us, and we're planning our visit to go see them. We're actually planning a visit to go to the Capitol that same day. We're not sure when we get that. And then we had our Arrival Live Day, which is just when juniors and seniors get to go and learn more about how their cars work and what to do in an accident, I think. I don't know.
Impaired driving.
Okay.
So they give them a scenario, and they are driving the vehicle as an impaired driver to see what that looks like, how difficult it is to be able to drive impaired.
And then our freshman world history class had their boat competition, which is Mr. Cracker's class. And we also had our powder buff, which is where the boys play, or the juniors and senior boys play volleyball, and then whoever wins all of that gets to play the teachers Dragon of Honor, and Terry McDaniel got inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was a really cool moment for them. I got to speak about tunes, and Clementine got to speak about Mr. McDaniel. And then we had some gifts for them, and it was just a really fun day. And then for our sports, boys wrestling only has one loss. Girls wrestling is undefeated, and they won districts as a team along with 9 individual state qualifiers. Those qualifiers are Lexi Wolk with getting first place, Isla Wolk getting first place, Maggie Price getting first place, Keely Fowler getting first place, Anna Fisher getting first place, Lily Farlow getting second place, Haley Davis getting third place, Abby Vogt getting fourth place, and Anderson Kramer getting fourth place. And they will advance to state this upcoming week. Or
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. And then our boys basketball team is 12-7, girls basketball is 7-13, and then our Emeralds have not been competing, but they perform at basketball games, and they performed at Willowchair basketball. Okay, our teachers of the month. Our January teacher of the month was Mrs. Lacey Ritter. A student had to say that she consistently goes above and beyond to help me understand my work. She takes the time to explain things in a way that actually makes sense and never makes me feel bad for asking questions. She is always kind, thoughtful, and patient, and she always has a great sense of humor that makes class more enjoyable. Her positivity, support, and ability to make us laugh make a big difference in my learning and confidence, and I am very thankful to have her as a teacher. Mrs. Ritter, thank you for your consistent service to the students at SJHS. And then our February teacher of the month, which she just found out today, Mrs. Jessica Harlow, and a student had to say that she is truly a ray of sunshine who brings positive energy and happy vibes into every class, whether that's her big smile or her fun, colorful outfits. She is so creative and always knows exactly how to cheer you up or be there for you when you need someone to talk to. She's not just a teacher. She strives to connect with her students by joining in on their girl talk and fun activities every single day. She makes each of us feel seen, heard, and valued. She genuinely works to build a strong connection with every one of us, and that is what makes her so special. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to have those. Moving on to unfinished business. Prop SG updates.
Yes, the wrestling facility is coming along nicely. You can see the roof is going on. Iron workers are expected to take approximately 10 days to finish the roof. They've been working on roof trim and downspouts. BCI carpenters have begun laying out interior walls and door locations. Framing of the walls for the bathrooms at the end of the facility has already begun. Work is also continuing with BT Electric on a new light pole near the shot put area. We kind of piggybacked on electric being run to this facility. There are a couple times a year when the track meet goes into dusk or evening time, and Jeff Nix always calls me and says, "We've got cars out here with their headlights on the pole vault area. Can we get this fixed?" So hopefully we'll get that fixed as well. The wrestling mats are currently scheduled to ship in April, so coming along nicely.
We've got a end date and then finish date.
They always guess. Should be ready for school next year.
Okay.
Start the year off.
At least very close.
Very, very close.
All right, thank you. Hold on, I gotta have this now. I know, I'm on mine.
We're out of here.
We got the program presentation on high school and the drawings.
Well, thanks for having us here. Kenny and I have been real excited for this for a while. Yeah. I do the introduction to industrial tech, 3 hours with the high school and I also in middle school. With my class, it's a year-long class. We make sure the first thing we hit on is just measurements, learning how to use the measuring tools, making sure they get up to a 64 scale ruler, tape measure. I think measurement's one of the most important things that they need for their whole lives. So we really hit on that all year long. And then after measurements, we get into drafting and design. We've gone away completely from board drafting in the high school. We're all computer drafting with either with their Chromebooks, or in Mr. Rapp's class, he has the actual desktop computers there. The different CAD programs we have is the traditional AutoCAD one. We do that with just like 2D modeling, architecture, renderings of different types of mechanical parts. They have to get the different pieces we have, measure them out, and put them on there, figure out how all the tools work with that. After that, we get into Tinkercad, which is a free program that's on the web that anybody can use, and that's really great with 3D modeling, and it actually transfers over to our 3D printers that Mr. Rapp had in his classroom that he got from the library from Mrs. Staffen for a long time. I just moved a couple over to my room, so we're not bothering his classes all the time, going over there, getting them all set up. With that, we got a few projects to show with the Tinkercad. Let's see what we got here. You can pass this around. The kids have to, the main one I say for them to do is like a phone stand or an iPad stand, an iPod. The kids probably don't know what those are anymore. Kenny still has his. We were talking about that the other day. He was listening to his music on it. But that's a real basic one that we made up just for a display. You can put letters on it. If you look on the back, it says St. John Dragons and all that. They personalize them, but really I don't limit it to that. They also, I've had a few kids this year make the AirPod cases that go over the white ones. That they decided to make those, and they customize those. Had a kid try and make a birdhouse on a 3D printer. That was a little big, so kind of went away from that. For the most part, the kids go along with that with Tinkercad, which is a great program that I love that they have out there free. They're still from Autodesk, which is part of the AutoCAD system. We use it in my middle school classes and high school. Other CAD programs we use are VCarve. We can get on there, we can design, you pull images off the internet and you can put them on there. And we use those later on when we get to our metalworking section. At the end of the year, they get to design up some sort of like hat rack, coat rack, sign, whatever they'd like to go. Careful of the bolts on the back, I just have those in place. Normally that is two separate ones that'll go on the wall, and we have the bolts that go into the wall holding it there, so that's just so you guys can see. But VCarve is a great program, and that transfers over to, oh man, I can't even think of the program that we use with the plasma. ShopBot. Which, ShopBot, still not the greatest program. We don't like it a whole lot, but we're getting used to it. The kids are getting used to it. Moving on from VCarve into ShopBot. And is there any others that you can think of that we do, that I do? Because you do more of the advanced ones. So then after I get done with drafting design, we get into woodworking. They have to pass all their safety tests. We go over all those for every one of the machines in the class. This is, in the high school, they get to use every single woodworking machine that's in there for different projects. First project they do with the VCarve, they do have to design up their own push stick that they use, the ShopBot over in Mr. Rapp's room, and it carves it out. Then they finish it up with, they have to get a raw piece of wood and they have to square it all up with the different machines, and then they go into the ShopBot program and do that. Then they finish it up with the bandsaw or by hand, getting it all cleaned up, and that's their push stick they use all year. They get to personalize it on one of our laser engravers. They design up their own company logo on there, and the laser engraver, they get to use that to figure out how to just make it their own project. Our big project, and I'll hold this up, I don't know if you want to pass it around or not, is our step stools. I have a ton of kids in my intro class, which sometimes we used to have not a lot, so we got to do bigger projects. We used to do nightstands, but with these bigger classes, which is awesome, keep coming in with them. This is an easy project to store because we just run out of room for where to store projects. If you come in my room, say in November, December to now, it looks like a war zone with all the projects laying around until they can get the pieces into their lockers or starting to get together. So this is one that I actually went and stole out of the finished room today to bring in and show you guys. They are wrapping them up, so we're getting ready to get into our metalworking Something else we incorporated this year with it is they are putting laser engraving designs into that. I gave them the option to either put it on top on one of the platforms here, or if they don't want anybody to see it, they can put it underneath. So then they can personalize it there. So they laser engrave that too using the laser engraver. One of the tests that they have to pass is me standing on it at the end. We haven't had any fail yet. I try and help out with that with Dr. Mercer's step program and all that we do. Make sure that it doesn't break. Then that's what takes up a lot of the year. Like I said, the safety probably is all October, and then we get into the projects starting in November, and they are going to wrap up here starting in March. I have some kids, like I said, this kid will probably be done this week, but all the rest will be done by March. Then we get into our metalworking. We start with sheet metal. They get a pattern layout. They make a toolbox. My middle school classes, if they have some extra time, they do make parts that could be a parts bin that would fit in here. If I get some that are more advanced, we used to make tool trays that went in here also. So it's actually 3 projects in one. If these guys and girls, there's a lot of girls in my classes too, which is always good. If they have time after they're done with their toolbox, I give them the option if they want to make the tool tray that fits in here. So this is a project that's been around for a long time, and it's a great project to have for them to get their hands-on experience with the sheet metal. We have gotten away from using spot welder, and they have to MIG weld it all together now, which getting to use a different actual welding tool that they would use a lot out in the field is pretty good there. I do not have an example of our other metal project. It's just a tri-square, but they have to use the stick welder for that, so they have opportunity to use MIG and stick welding. And then finishing up the year, whenever we can fit it in, they do have to learn about some sort of career that's industrial tech. They have to go and research it. They have to create a presentation over it. They have to write a short paper with the information they got on the presentation. And then I also make them come up with some interview questions that they would ask a company if they were actually wanting to go for this job. And I know that looking back now, some of the kids that I've taught, they have pursued that job from the time they were freshmen in high school to now. They're making real good money. You can see them out and about, and I'm happy that they're doing that. But I think that's all that I pretty much do. Yes.
You ever want to see something good, stop by Thompson's class sometime. The fact that he has 30 what's your biggest class?
No, like low 20s sometimes.
It feels like 100 in there. You ever, I mean, middle school kids just run around and somehow they all still return home with their fingers and toes. He does a really good job. I'll keep it short. He covered a lot of it. I think the last time I was in here, I was strictly drafting teacher, and it was with White, and now I've kind of transitioned into a little bit of both. We do engineering graphics, which is more of a mechanically based drafting class for high school sophomores and up, and that was always my strong suit because that was my background before I got into teaching. It's funny, it's kind of transitioned now in the woods, I think, but I'll get to that in a second. That class, I teach them basic drafting from AutoCAD up through Inventor, which Inventor is a professional program. That's what I used when I was in the private sector, and it's a really good one. It's a complicated, smart program, and I feel like it really does a good job testing the kids' limits to it. Sometimes they get bored with it, but I think part of that is lack of understanding right away. There's a lot of times that you see a light bulb come on and they do a really good job. That class, we start out real simple and progress down to a kid will be able to actually, it's a 3D printed vise that we're printing out now. Take all the pieces, put it together, and have a fully functioning vise after it's said and done. That's a very cool project. It's a time-consuming one. From that class, there's a drafting design class that I teach in my 4th hour block that is an architectural-based class. So it's never been my strong suit. I was better at swinging a hammer than designing the thing, but it's one of those classes that the kids pretty well, their interest level dictates how much they're going to put into that. And if the kid doesn't find the full interest in it, at the bare minimum, I got them behind a computer using a drafting program, and they might think, hey, that's a good idea for me to go down that path, or they're like, no, I'm going to try a different one. I've had kids think they're going to be architects, end up being engineers because of the 2 classes. That class we use Autodesk Revit. It's a three-dimensional drafting program. It's what everybody uses in the industry. We start out real basic house design. I go over house layout, kitchen layout, just the small stuff that you never think of, all the way through to the point where they should have a working set of house plans at the end of it if they want it. A lot of them are working set of 5,000 square foot houses that has like 6-car garage and like, you know what I'm saying? So, but it keeps them interested, and it's a good project for them. I teach 3 blocks of Intro to Woods, so it's a tag along to Coach Thompson's, and then a Advanced Woods, which is a carry on over from mine. Mr. Thompson does a really good job of preparing the kids for my class. Whenever they get in there, those kids know what they're doing. We start out real basic safety protocol, go over all the machines for the ones that haven't had a refresher in a year or 2, depending on when I get them. We start out there. The first big project we do is a toolbox, a tool tote, and that's like a Brian Jett carryover. So it started out with Jett, went to Wyke, and I remember asking Wyke, I'm like, why are you doing a tool tote for the first project? Like, kids kind of not real exciting, you know, but his point was that tool tote, you use every machine in the shop. So you're not just using, like, you can make something really nice by just using the table saw. But this, you have to learn how to run dados, you have to learn how to do dovetail ends. Every little piece of that is using a machine in the shop, and it gets them comfortable with that. I think a lot of those go to Dad, and I've had a few dads come back and say, that was a nice heavy-duty toolbox. I say, yes, it is. It's a beautiful thing. Some of the other stuff we do in there, right now I have a lot of fishing racks, like just, you know, your typical 16, 17-year-old boys. If a kid is not, and this kind of leads into my next class, if a kid doesn't have a project, which sometimes they don't, like they're not having a lot of funds at home, if they're not wanting to carry on a new project. I got a lot of seniors right now that are like at an in-between point. They're kind of helping me do some of our other school projects that kind of fall in line with this new class that I'm teaching. It's called School and Community Development. I think I said that right, didn't I, Doc? Yeah. So the class started kind of with an idea. I think it started with Mr. Roth, Coach Roth, and like we carried over the idea of like, we have a lot of projects throughout school that we can do in-house. And it kind of kills me at times, like seeing other people. It's like the dad having somebody come in and fix the dishwasher when your dad knows how to fix the dishwasher. So we started talking, like, what do you want to do? How can we do this? And I had interest from students to sign up for a class in my 5th hour block. And basically our purpose in that class is to try to give back to St. Gen in a way that we can. So like one of the things that we are starting to work on right now, well, and if you've been in the high school, it goes along the lines of the benches in the senior tee. The ones with the 2 light-up signs, the metal cutout signs, like a lot of that was done in passing times, was done after hours, was done whenever kids had time, where now it's like, it's a lot easier to get that stuff done if kids and I can sit down and organize it and treat it as if it's a job. Perfect example was I was out today, daughter was sick along with everybody else, and I could send out an email and I was like, hey guys, we got these projects that are needing to get done. I need you to start running the academic awards today, girls and whoever else start doing this and this and this, and they treat it as a job when they come in. For me, and part of my reasoning behind that class was sense of pride in school. If you're doing it yourself, like I just picture kids coming back in 25 years and being like, I helped make that shop class. And a lot of times the kids put a lot more effort into it than they would a toolbox. Because they know that it's going to be displayed. There are kids that I get a lot of very good stuff out of that sometimes you get very surprised about, but they have a lot of pride in our school and they love doing those types of projects. So yeah. Usually I have a gift for you guys, but I wasn't in today, so Thompson and I couldn't knock it out. But if you have any questions, any concerns? We use the laser engraver. I know some of you have been in. We have a really fantastic laser engraver that kids use a ton of, and we use a ton of just on like Mr. Bonnell, Coach Bonnell, for his wrestling plaques. We're going to do some of those, and it's like that's the type of stuff that we try to take care of in this class, because it helps save money. It puts money back into our program for material costs and whatever, and it's just, it makes sense, honestly. If we can do it, it's perfect, so.
So are you taking orders for that?
For-
That step stool?
That'd be a Coach Thompson. He might have.
Hey, we may have
people-
some left over. I don't know if you want those. We can tear them apart and fix them for you.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like, I thought, like, maybe this year I would be able to, like, all right, we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna be able to do outside work. Like, and we built the city hall has like a recycling bin. It was something silly that they were spending like $80 on these cardboard boxes, and somebody reached out to Mr. Mueller. Mr. Mueller came to me, and I'm like, no, we could do that. And we knocked it out, and, saving them $80 every 3 months, whatever. And then we laser engrave a nice St. John logo on there, so everybody sees that. Yeah, in my dreams, everything in town is gonna have an SUV. So just along those lines, but we've been so busy in-house. I know we have some things planned here coming up at the end of this semester, and there's a lot of good projects that we've had, so we've been staying busy. My future of like, hey, someday we'll have a Google form that somebody could fill out and then push it back to us, and then I would be able to push it off onto the kid and be like, this is what we need, and have them do it. But it's a work in progress.
Yeah, a lot of times we get projects that are like in November or May. Hey, if you got any time, and you got any kids sitting around not doing anything, they want to do something. We get projects a lot at the end of the semester
A lot
for
of
some reason.
Christmas.
And they need to be done in like a week.
So, anyway, I think that's about
The
it.
gifts you've made us over the years.
Oh, my gosh.
Do what?
The gifts that you've made over the years for us,
Oh,
I did the charcuterie board.
I was trying to think what we did, yeah.
It was
No
beautiful
problem.
with the St. John laser.
And honestly, a lot of that stuff, like, if we do something for you, I'll have the kids go, like, I'll pull a few seniors. It's usually a senior. This time of year, they're like, I'm done. I'm like, well, hey, go grab this wood off, plane it down, glue it up. This is the size we need to cut down to, and they do a good job. We have really good kids, so it helps, so. No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Longer than 5 minutes.
We're supposed to be 40 seconds.
Mrs. Diesel, we've got
Sorry, Nick.
several things around our house that are considered. Next, we've got the proposed school calendar.
Yes, just to review our process, normally we take the prior year's calendar and roll it over and into a direct rollover. This year, the committee was able to meet before the board meeting in January, so we made a couple minor tweaks. There are always anomalies in the rollover that don't make much sense, and it doesn't make much sense to leave it on there and put it on the survey, because you know there's going to be comments about it. So the committee made a few minor tweaks. We then sent that out in a survey to faculty and staff. That survey was open from January 16th to January 28th. And get feedback from them. I collect all the comments, go through them one by one, and put them together for the committee. The committee met again on February 3rd to review the comments and finalize a draft. Since then, we've communicated by email and made some minor updates here and there. I made some suggestions, they gave some feedback. And we were able to create a calendar that I think protects the educational integrity of the calendar while still making sense for most employees. A few details for the 26-27 calendar. Dead period is August 1st to August 9th, which was approved by the board on August 26th, 2025. New teacher PD days, August 10th through the 12th. Orientations, additional PD days, open houses, all leading up to the all-employee PD days on August 17th, 18th, and 20th. First day of school, unfortunately, is scheduled for Monday, August 24th. That's limited by the state legislature. Revised state statute 171.031, no earlier, school can start no earlier than 14 calendar days prior to the first Monday in September. There were were 6 schools originally that sent waivers to the State Board of Education requesting an earlier start date. I think there were an additional 130 schools that sent waiver requests since those 6 initial. I think we were requesting an earlier start date based on extenuating circumstances. The 24th is really, really late. First semester and second semester are unbalanced to begin with, and we have to start on the 24th. We constantly hear we want to preserve local control. We want to preserve local control. There's money involved. State fair, another weekend down at Lake of the Ozarks, and I think that's where this originated from. But unfortunately, they felt the need to stick their hands in local control and take that away from us. So first day of school will be Monday, August 24th. Also, our people would like to start on a Wednesday or Thursday. Kindergartners starting on a Monday, making it to Friday is a rough first day of school. So, anyway. PD Day on Monday, September 28th, and All-Employee Work Collaboration Day on Thursday, October 22nd, with parent-teacher conferences beginning at 1:30. No school on Veterans Day, Wednesday, November 11th. Maintain an adjustment from last year with Thanksgiving break begins with a full day off on Wednesday, November 25th. Winter break will begin at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, December 22nd. This was an adjustment from the prior year. Winter break is usually started on Friday at 3 o'clock. With Christmas being on a Friday this year, the committee thought that this is an opportunity to get a benefit in January when we come back, which I'll cover in just a second, if we're able to go to the 22nd half day and count that as one of the 169 days. So that's an adjustment. Second semester will begin with a teacher work collaboration day on Wednesday, January 6th. So once again, coming back on that Wednesday with the teacher work collaboration day, and then the kids will come back on that Thursday and Friday, that first week of January. Teacher PD Day on Friday, February 12th, followed by President's Day on Monday, February 15th. Spring break scheduled to begin on Friday, March 26th, and extend through Friday, April 2nd. That also incorporates Easter. Our last scheduled day of attendance will be Tuesday, May 25th, 2027, with our last PD Day scheduled for Wednesday, May 26th. Administrative team had some significant discussion about AMI days. In our litmus test here at St. Genevieve, the first question we ask ourselves is what's best for kids in making any decision. And then if we're able to get over that hurdle, we can take into consideration how to best make that fit for faculty and staff. We weren't able to get over that hurdle. I asked all of our administrative team about AMI. There are pros and cons, as with anything. I think our district went above and beyond during COVID when we were virtual. And then since COVID, using AMI, I think our district employees went above and beyond, as we always do at St. Genevieve, and try to play it by the book, do things the right way, provide the best instruction that we can virtually. COVID taught us, virtual instruction taught us, that nothing replaces face-to-face instruction with students. And that's the hurdle that we couldn't get across. So the administrative team got together and put together some information on why that's the case and shared that with their building, and made the decision to move away from AMI days. So AMI days have been removed from the calendar. That being said, our calendar had some artifacts in it left over from prior legislation and really just prior calendars. All of our snow days were stuck onto the end of the calendar and not included in our total hours included for instruction. Most other school districts have moved away from that, so you'll notice on this calendar that we have incorporated some snow days in the middle in gray. Down at the bottom it says potential weather makeup days, 1-5 and 1-6, 2-15, and then 5-26 through 5-28. So we have to have a total of 36 hours of weather makeup built into our calendar. It's a requirement. And then over and above that, for every hour that we miss, we're forgiven an hour, up to 60 total hours. So if your calendar includes 60 total hours, 36 weather makeup, and then all the way up to 60 for those additional possible weather hours, you're going under the 1,044. So right now, our calendar has 1,109.25 hours built into it, so that's 1,044 plus 60, we're well over the 1,104 hours. May 31st, that holiday scares me. With the weather days that we have in our district, I don't want to have to come back after that holiday and go into June, that first week of June. I think this calendar will allow the Board of Education some latitude on what days to make up. Depending on the number of snow days we get. Last year, I came to you and made a recommendation that we make up a couple days, but we also forgive a couple days. I think this calendar allows us to allow you to have the latitude to make those decisions should those snow days go and get excessive. At this point, I will entertain any questions that you might have about the calendar.
Well, I appreciated all the comments too. It was good to read the comments and see the different pros and cons of doing things like eliminating AMI or not. I noticed you didn't ever make a potential snow day a PD day, which I thought was good, because I'm like.
There were a few comments about that.
Yeah, there were a lot of comments about that, and I'm like, well, if we use PD days, how in the world are we gonna make up the PD, right?
Yeah, and so whenever I was looking for the original potential snow days to make up, I just threw them in wherever because I was sure we were going to get comments about it. It's not something I thought about, a PD day, with that being a contracted day, having to make that up. I did talk to a former superintendent who said, oh, you never put those on a PD day. You have to make those up at some point. So, yeah, that's a good comment.
Well, and there will be complexities. I mean, if you do have to come back and cut things a little short, like that Christmas break or whatever, that won't make people happy, but.
It will not, but it's still, the committee talked about that. We'll still start second semester with a PD day. So we'll still be able to, the break won't be as long. The likelihood.
Don't jinx it.
Hopefully, we won't see any snow days in December.
13 and a half inches.
13 and a half. Jesse might flag those as.
They're in the calendar.
It is, yes.
That's when we can start school. Say we can start.
Our potential makeup snow days being August 24th.
Yeah. I just want to thank you for taking out the AMI days. I think, you said it best that we're here to educate kids, and that's what's best for kids. So taking them out is the right way.
I did want to point out, last year, the calendar committee, who I'll thank you here in just a second, had some questions about AMI Day, and what was the sentiment of the rest of the faculty about AMI Day. And it came back last year about 72-73% of the respondents found a benefit in them. Over time, it's just easy to see what face-to-face instruction does for kids versus a virtual instruction. Not to mention the challenges at the different levels. When you're talking about a K through 2 student going home with a packet and doing some work, what's on the parent then at that point? What is the parent? Are they working during the day? Are they having to come home after a full 8-hour day of work and sit down with a packet with the student and attempt to do that? Then at the high school level, with the secretaries having to go in, they take attendance every hour at the high school. At the elementary, it's once. At the high school, secretaries having to go in, and for each student that's absent, the 3rd hour and 6th hour, having to go in and physically touch that student in the computer and adjust the hours for those two. It became tremendously cumbersome. When those secretaries are having to do that in the middle and high school level, and know that the secretaries at the elementary level have to go, it's not an hourly, it's just different. And it's the job, but it also isn't quite as equitable as maybe it could have been. So I don't know what administrators.
It's about 8 hours of work for the attendance secretary for one AMI day to clean up attendance. So they have to go, student by student, as Dr. Taylor said, but then they have to determine, so if a student is absent for 3 hours, they have to go in and manually update their hourly minutes for that student. And so every student that has an absence, they're having to go in and touch that. So I know that our ladies in the office spent about 8 hours, and it was unique this year too, because it was right before monthly reports were due for the state. And so we had to very quickly, the snow days came right at the end of January, so then very quickly we had to turn around and have our reports to be ready to send off to the state. So we didn't have very much time to work on those and get those ready to go. So.
With the potential makeup day of 15th of February, which is President's Day, it's not like that's the way, it's not like a contracted day off or anything like that. It's not gonna.
So we would have to make accommodations and do, again, I spoke to a prior superintendent who's had to do this in the past when we used to do it, and said that we would make accommodations for hourly people to come in. It is not a contracted day for current employees, but for the hourly people, they would put together some potential professional development, and they made some other suggestions on how we would make up that time.
It's a holiday, so is it?
No, I think some schools do Martin Luther King Day as well.
Is there a trend statewide to get rid of AMI one way or the other?
Most of the other, I know this because I meet with the NAAA superintendents once a month. Most of the other NAAA superintendents have been rid of it for a while. I don't know that there were differences in how AMI was implemented in other school districts.
I'm sure.
I did want to thank the calendar committee, Danielle Turner from the Early Childhood Center, Anna Brown from St. Genevieve Elementary, Clay Fowler from St. Genevieve High School, Christina Gilliford from Bloomsdale Elementary, Jordana Robinson from St. John Middle School, Sarah Carlson representing Classified, Bree Zell representing NEA, Rachel McDaniel representing MSTA, Haley Otto was our recorder, Dr. Bullard representing high school as administrator. Those guys have honest conversation and talk about pros and cons, and it's not always easy to be the non-popular opinion, but expressing is important. Having those conversations very important, and they do a good job. They provide great feedback. They are conscientious about going back to their buildings and letting them know what's going on and bringing that feedback back to the community. So they do a good job.
This is just a proposal, not any recommendation on this one?
No, this should be a recommendation.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the 2026-2027 year calendar for the 2026-2027 school year.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Alright. That's, new business, addition of special education teachers.
Keeping an eye on special education numbers, students with some significant behavior issues, what's coming out of the early childhood center, what we know about those kiddos moving into kindergarten, current students that we have, challenges that we currently have. Dr. Drury brought all of this information to me. I think she's been meeting with principals for a while now. We had an administrator meeting with everybody to talk about the needs for the upcoming school year. I think it was about a month ago. They were just trying to prepare me, asking for more teachers. But they have a valid reason for asking for some additional teachers. Our caseload is becoming larger with significant behavior students, students with some significant challenges that we have to address. So we sat down, put together they sat down and put together a spreadsheet. I don't think they thought that I understood it first, because then they color coded it and brought it back to me later. Went through caseloads coordinators, they constantly monitor the needs and how to address the needs. And evaluation of special education students occurs at a snail's pace. And a lot of times that can be frustrating for teachers who are in the thick of it, have their boots on the ground and need support. So we wanted to get out in front of this as soon as we could and attempt to provide them with the support they need and add these additional teachers in order to reduce those caseloads. So my recommendation is to add 3 special education teachers, one at Bloomsdale Elementary, one at St. Genevieve Elementary, and one split between the 2 schools. Dr. Drury, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything.
The other thing I would add is that will also allow the high school and maybe the middle school, I know the high school for sure, to add in some co-teaching sections that are needed in the high school level, especially for the English 4 classes, I think.
Yeah, we've got about 20 students that we are going to be up special education at the high school next school year. So we are definitely going to need the additional support for co-teaching. Right now, we do not, 4 credits of English are needed for graduation, and we are not able to offer co-taught English for any co-taught English elective at the high school right now. And so our special education students are not receiving that additional support. And then we also have talked about the needs in some of our other areas for some co-taught support that we haven't been able to have, like our science classes. Right now we have it set up on a rotation, so one year we do biology, and then the next year we do earth science, and then we do biology. But then those numbers of those classes become very large because we're taking 2 grade levels and combining them all together. So it would provide us some opportunity to be able to have some more balanced numbers, and then also to be able to offer some co-taught support in some areas that we really need some support and help for our students.
So current special ed teacher would stay in the high school, middle school full-time. That's why the addition of the split teacher is needed.
Oh, so right now is the current teacher traveling down to the elementaries to help support what's happening?
She's split between 3
Middle school,
buildings
high
right now.
school, and us.
Got it. So she would stay.
She would say split between middle and high.
Middle school, high school.
That's all I have to add.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the addition of 3 special education teacher positions for the district as presented, effective for the 26-27 school year.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then also 3 paraprofessionals to support those 3 step positions.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the addition of 3 special education paraprofessionals.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And finally, our numbers going into 4th grade next year, we're going from 5 teachers in 3rd grade to 4 teachers in 4th grade at St. Genevieve Elementary, and those numbers are high. I think it would be around 28 kids per classroom. So the need exists to add a 5th teacher at that level, and that would bring it down to around 22 without the addition or subtraction of any of our elementary.
Is our upcoming 3rd grade class large as well, that we're gonna keep 5 there?
Yes.
Yes.
Like the trend has continued all the way through.
Okay.
Now I'll make a motion to approve the addition of a 4th grade teacher at the St. Genevieve Elementary, St. Genevieve Elementary as presented, effective for the 26-27 school year.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Yep, after 4 o'clock. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn the open session of the regular meeting of the Board of Education of the St. Genevieve County School, of the St. Genevieve County R2 School District, and resume the closed meeting with a closed record and closed vote for all purposes listed in Revised Missouri Statute 610.021.
Second. Motion is second. Jamie Blue?
Yes.
Josh Gettinger?
Yes.
Eric Bosler? Yes. Jerry Diesel?
Yes.
Martha Reesinger?
Yes.